calling together this meeting of the South River Mayor's Borough Council, meeting number 21 of December 27th, year 2021. Roll call. And statement of notice of publication.
Mayor Penzel,
Here.
Councilman Gindi,
Here.
Councilman Gertenski,
Here.
Councilwoman Mira, here, Councilman Olivera,
Here.
Council President Seola,
Here.
and for the record, Councilwoman Ballas is absent. In compliance with Chapter 231 of Public Law of 1975, notice of this meeting to be held at the Criminal Justice Building, 61 Main Street, South River, has been published in the Home News Tribune on December 17, 2021, posted on the Municipal Building Bulletin Board, the Borough website, and the front door of the Criminal Justice Building at 61 Main Street, South River.
Thank you. Please stand for the salute of the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing on the file. Thank you. We're doing something a little bit different this time around. We're going to swear in the new officers for the South River Fire Department. Calling first Chief William Smith. And of course, we can move around and take pictures and
You repeat after me.
I, William Smith,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the government established in the United States,
and in this state under the authority of the people,
and in this state under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of South River Fire Department Chief of Department,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
we normally would stand and shake his hand, but as you can see, we're wearing masks because of the COVID outbreak is getting worse. Here in South River is no different, so we'll just sort of wave at him as he flies.
Thank you very much.
Right hand first, left hand on policy.
First Assistant Chief Scott Wolf is not able to join us tonight, he was sworn in at another time, but we do have Second Assistant Chief Craig Miller. And Craig, why don't you turn so that you can face the camera? There you go.
That makes it easier.
Left hand, right?
You'll repeat after me.
Put your hand away. Move up, buddy. Move up. I gotta put my hand on it. Raise it up. Raise it up. There you go.
There you
Good job. I
I,
state your name.
Craig Miller,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of
under the authority of the people, and I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of South River Fire Department, Second Assistant Chief,
according to the best of my abilities.
according to the best of my abilities,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Yeah.
I'm gonna raise this thing.
Actually, you just sign your name.
That's it.
Yeah, I'll get the rest of the, later. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no proclamations, honor awards, presentations. The agenda session and bond anticipation notice, Mr. Zango was to be here. Can you just speak about that, Mr. Lindensky?
Unfortunately, Mr. Zanka has come down with COVID, so he can't be here. All he asked me to convey is that we got a wonderful rate, .488. One of the best rates we've ever gotten, and it was a successful bond anticipation hearing.
We went into the market and it worked out very well in terms of that. The interest rates are low, so that's a good thing. Moving on to the agenda, ordinance, second reading, public hearing, ordinance 2021-24.
An ordinance of the Borough of South River, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending the Borough Code of the Borough of South River so as to amend Chapter 72 entitled Public Safety Department of, this is in regards to the Deputy Police Chief position.
Motion to waive before reading. Second.
Motion has been made to waive the full reading by Mr. Gindi, seconded by Mr. Gerczewski. All in favor?
Aye.
Against, the ayes have it. We're gonna open this up to the public. You can come forward, please give your name and address and any comments or questions that you may have. First call, second call, third call.
Motion closed.
Motion closed by Mr. Gindi,
Second.
second by Mr. Gerczewski. All in favor?
Aye.
Against, the ayes have it. Pleasure on the ordinance.
Move the ordinance.
Ordinance. Ordinance has been moved by Mr. Gerczewski, seconded by Mr. Gindi. Comments, questions?
I have a few questions, Mr. Mayor. Public safety is supposed to meet with PDA. How come that didn't happen?
We scheduled 3 meetings, and unfortunately, it didn't evolve because of different constraints of people's schedules.
Okay. My only concern is, last meeting, we were full of police officers here that wanted to discuss this. We decided to move it to this meeting, now nobody is here. What has changed?
May I?
Sure.
I had the opportunity to sit down with the PDA and SOA along with Councilman Oliver. They had a lot of concerns. After explaining the purpose of us getting rid of the deputy chief, they realized that the concerns, although this was their, I guess you could say, their alternative, what they didn't realize that the town, or I said in Borough of South River, did not have the financial to back this position up, as well as the position has been vacant since 2009. It's a position that was fabricated back in 2006. Going through all that with the police department, I understood that the issues were more than just this position. So what we're gonna actually be doing is, come the beginning of January, we're gonna be sitting down with all of the sergeants, all of the lieutenants, the police chief, 2 of the people from the governing body, most likely from public safety, and resolving this problem. That way we get the police going back on its feet. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation among the police department. So after talking to them, they understood. It was a very long meeting, but we resolved a lot of issues, and here we are moving forward.
Okay, but the head of public safety just said that he wasn't able to schedule a meeting, but yet you and Mr. Oliver were able to schedule a meeting. Where does that make any sense?
Right after the council meeting, I jumped on calling them the next day and we met immediately.
And so why wasn't the head of public safety there?
He was unable to make it that day, so I took one of the other public safety, council.
Okay, this ordinance to me came up from a council member who's not on public safety. I don't think it should have came from that, and if the chief wanted to eliminate a position like this, I would think it would go to public safety to then be discussed through us. I don't know, the misinformation, I don't know where there's misinformation, we're not getting any information. I think, the mayor puts people on committees and expects their committees to take charge of what they're responsible for, and this didn't come from any of that department, so I don't know why we are sitting up here today with no real information as to why you want to eliminate it and make a decision. I don't see how anybody up here is comfortable making a decision if the head of public safety wasn't the one to sit down with PBA and SOA regarding such thing. Mr. Mayor?
Well, actually, Mr. Yurchensky, you were going to meet first time around, and the two unions said no. And then last Wednesday you were going to meet, weren't you?
Yes,
And then again, they canceled again on that.
yes, they did.
So twice,
Actually, 3 times, Mayor.
oh, 3 times.
Yeah.
So how did Mr. Gidney and Mr. Oliver have a meeting with them, but the head of public safety, which this ordinance should have come from, could not get a meeting with them? Where does that? I understand that the first, reading of this, we
Simple
also,
answer, I don't sleep. So you have it early, you have it.
at the first meeting that we discussed this, I get it. Mr. Gidney, we decided or we had an idea to eliminate this. Nothing came from the chief, nothing came from the head of the Public Safety Commission. It's like, Mr. Mayor, why do you make committees if everyone up here is just gonna task whatever they feel like tasking?
That's a very good question.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you are the mayor. I feel like often you forget that. So I'm gonna say I don't think this is something that should come before us without even having a discussion with the chief of police regarding such matter. Just because we're looking at ordinances and wanting to clean them up doesn't mean that we make those decisions. And I feel like there's something else that has to be involved with this, and there's no clear answer here, so that's just my opinion.
Anything else? Okay, roll call.
Councilman Gizzi,
Yes,
Councilman Gerchinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mir,
No,
Councilman Olivero,
Yes.
and Council President Seula.
Yes.
And the ordinance adopted, 2021-26.
An ordinance to amend the code of the Borough of South River, chapter 193, entitled Vehicles and Traffic by amending section 193-31.1, schedule 11A, handicap parking thereof, which pertains to the intersection of Hillside and Clark Street.
Make a motion to waive full reading.
second,
Motion has been made to waive the full reading by Mr. Seula, seconded by Mr. Gidney. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it. Opening up to the public. For anyone who wishes to come forward, please give your name and address and make any comments or questions on first call, second call, third call.
motion closed.
Second.
Motion closed, the public portion by Mr. Gidney, seconded by Mr. Seula. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it. Your pleasure on the ordinance.
Chair, I'd like to move the ordinance. 2021-26.
Ordinance has been moved by Mr. Seula, seconded by Mr. Gindi. Comments, questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilman Gindi,
Yes.
Councilman Gertenski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
Yes.
Councilman Olivera,
Yes.
Council President Seola.
Yes.
The ordinance has been adopted. There are no ordinances for first reading by title only, therefore we come to our reports, starting with Mr. Koch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The 2020 and the 2021 road projects, as I'm sure you're aware, we're moving along. Contractor called us today saying they'd like to just do a little work at the intersection of Ferris and Darrow and Ferris and Cleveland. It's just a couple knee walls, which are essentially a curve behind the handicap ramps. Nick from our office went to knock on the doors today. It's only going to be 2 locations. So we didn't do a notice to the whole neighborhood, but the contractor advises that they've been in touch with the police to coordinate that. So I just wanted to mention that to you. The water main work on Alborn is moving along. Contractor's talking about finishing it up early next week. We'll see what the weather's like. I'll be in touch with Mr. Ondensky and the water department personnel, Mr. Soares, and see if it's okay with everybody and okay with the governing body. Then we'll move forward and get that wrapped up for the season as well. And then the remaining paving work will take place in the spring. The 2022 local aid program, we forwarded a proposal for those professional services. The electrical substation maintenance, they're really winding down on the testing, and then they'll be doing the test pits for the feeder lines and the sweeps that need to be replaced. And well number 2, basically the same report because the electrician's having difficulty getting some of the equipment they need. So I guess like many things right now, there's sometimes a longer lead time. So, but they are continuing to move ahead with that and with the site cleanup. And that is it.
Any questions, comments, or views?
I have a question, Bruce.
Yes.
I had asked you regarding that Prentice Avenue in
Yes.
Rochester.
Yep.
Were you able to pull up the report that you had initially given on that?
It was just a letter that I have, and what I was, Mr. Wakauchi, Council President Seula asked me about something at the corner of Cam and Whitehead, as I recall. So I thought I'd put those 2 together. I was thinking, not to take away from your question, Joey, but I think that might be a county matter, and I will look at it in the field to see where the inlets are. And it may just be getting them to start cleaning out their inlets and such if they're clogged, but yes. And then I thought after the first year, I would just bring in some reports and stuff for you, and go from there.
Is that something that we find that we can add to the roads project for 2022?
Well, that's up to the governing body if you want to finance it, or my thought was if you wanted to make it your next year's NJDOT application, that you could do that as well.
I guess we'll wait until the beginning of the year to see.
I mean, it was just a proposal that I had sent out with a cost estimate for it, so I don't think it's really changed other than the difference in pricing in the economy, but we're getting some competitive prices now. So I'll gladly pull it up if you'd like. I'll send it to you, and I'll send it over and ask it to be distributed to everybody either tomorrow or the next day. Okay?
We don't have finance, we don't have chief. Anything as far as legal is concerned?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Business administrator?
Nothing, Mayor.
Anything, Mr. Gindi? Mr. Seula?
Nothing.
Mr. Olivera?
Nope, nothing tonight.
Mr. Buczynski? Nothing, Mara?
Nothing tonight, but I guess it would be now that I wanted to request some resolutions to be read separately.
You can, because I was gonna ask later, but go ahead.
I could have 326, 329, and 330.
So there's 3 of them? The only thing I'm going to say is, January 1st, we're going to have the swearing in here at the chambers. It's gonna be done differently this year. It's gonna be a short meeting. We're only gonna have the swearing in of the 2 councilmen-elect and, just appointments of like 4 professionals. 20 minutes tops, it'll be done. You'll get to see us all dressed up, like suits and ties and dresses and such, special occasion. The January 10th, we're going to have the regular appointments. Now, just so that you know, keep an ear out, because January 10th may be virtual. January 1st may be virtual. We don't know. You see, we're wearing masks. We're doing things differently. The firemen are not meeting on January 1st. That's why we swore them in today. Nobody's going out. Everybody's watching COVID, trying to follow the latest regulations, and the regulations, of course, are all over the place. So, but that, at this point in time, January 1st, we will be here for the swearing in. So unless we hear something differently, keep an eye out on Facebook and such. That's all that I have. We'll open it up to public comments. You have 10 minutes. Please give your name and address, and you can come in and make any comments that you wish on any matter written in law. First of all, yes.
Good evening. Ray Bazak, 28 Franklin Avenue. I hope everybody had a nice Christmas. The reason why I'm here today, or I should say we're here today, we were wondering if the mayor and council has made a decision yet regarding a building inspector, whether we're gonna have a full-time or part-time building inspector. Because the part-time building inspector, I have to be honest with you, is not working. We have inspections on Wednesdays and Saturdays. If we fail inspection, we call up, sometimes they're booked the following Wednesday, we have to wait 2 weeks. I mean, my daughter's a perfect example, her and her fiance, of how long it's taken us to build this house. And we're all here because we're concerned. We have projects that are in the works, projects that are actually started. We're putting a $15 to $20 million investment into this borough. We cannot have part-time building inspectors. The feds are talking about raising interest rates. We're not using any of our own money to do this. We're borrowing from banks. If we get delayed, we'll get killed here. You know, we love this borough. We're either born here or we currently live here. We want to help this borough. The only way you have to raise revenue is by raising taxes, unless you bring in private investment. We want to do that. We want to be part of this. But I think that, a full-time building inspector is definitely what we need here. I think these guys don't agree with that. And another thing that I'd like to suggest, something for the upcoming year, since we are putting this kind of money in the borough, I always hear, we have one of the busiest corridors in South River, right? Connecting East Brunswick to Circle. We do nothing with redevelopment here. I mean, we see Paul's building has stopped. Every other town is flourishing except our town. And every time I talk to people, they say it's hard to do business in South River. Maybe we could set up some kind of committee. Us, the private guys, we could develop some plan. See what our problems are, see what yours are. We want to work with you. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else? First call? Second call? Third call?
There's a motion to close public.
Motion is made to close by Mr. Sewell, seconded by Mr. Ginty. All in favor? Against? Ayes have it. Okay, moving on to consent resolutions. Clerk, we're going to go through that will be read separately.
Whereas Resolution 2021-01 authorizes the Borough Council to utilize a consent agenda to adopt various resolutions of a routine and non-controversial nature at one time. Now therefore be it is hereby resolved that the below listed resolutions are hereby adopted by the Borough Council in full as if the same are individually acted upon. Now, Councilwoman Neary, you had requested to table 326, 329, and 333.
Just to read separately.
I'm sorry,
Just to read separately.
just to read separately. Okay, thank you. So for the consent agenda, it'll be 325, 327 to 332, and then that's it?
No, 326, 329.
I'm sorry, 329 to 332. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, 326, 329 to 333 will be tabled. Let me just go through.
Not tabled, read separately.
Read separately. 325, accept December 6th regular council meeting minutes. 327, yes, authorized purchases and emergency repairs from state contracts. 328, authorized cancellation of outdated/stale items. 330, authorized December 27th utility refunds. 331, authorized the bills and claims list. 332, award contract for roof replacement and repairs. Do you have a motion for those?
Make a motion?
Motion by Mr. Sheila, seconded by Mr. Olivero. Roll call.
Councilman Giddy,
Yes, with abstention to 331.
Councilman Gerchinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
Yes,
Councilman Olivero,
Yes.
and Council President Seola.
Yes, with extension of 331, 21-02354, 02460, 02554, 02610, 02933, 03017, 03016, 03106, and 02919.
Thank you. Okay. Let me get the resolution. Resolution 2021-326, authorizing the salaries of certain officials and employees at the Borough of South River, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, whereas the Borough of South River is in need of certain officials and employees to administer
Make a
management.
motion, waive the full reading?
Motion made to waive the full reading by Mr. Sheila, seconded by Mr. Giddy. All in favor?
Aye.
Against, the ayes have it. Your pleasure on the resolution.
Move the resolution?
Resolution has been made by Mr. Sheila, seconded by Mr. Giddy. Discussion?
I asked for this to be read separate, Mayor. I understand that the two salaries that are in here are because they've become full-time for next year. That's fine. Why are we raising our salaries as borough council members and mayor if beginning of last year we reduced our meetings by like, what, 15%? And now we want to get a raise?
Because there has been no raise for the governing body in I don't know how many years, over 10 years. And this is just the outcome of whatever work is being done for the various committee meetings, the meetings that are occurring, that the public does not see.
Okay. So, we used to have 2 meetings every month, a business meeting and a regular meeting. Now we have 1 meeting every 3 weeks. I don't know about you guys, but I go to my committee meetings with my, with the things I'm liaison to, but Parks and Rec didn't meet at all this year. Board of Education probably met once. I don't see what the increase is. Everybody's so worried about the budget and we're not gonna have money for full-time employees, but we wanna raise our pay? Where does that make sense, Mr. Mayor?
It's already in the budget and has been for the entire year.
The amount for a full-time construction official has been in the budget for the entire year. We have not touched that money, not one penny of it.
And why is that?
Well, because you say we're saving bundles of money.
So why haven't you championed that then?
Why haven't it? For months, I have been asking, why haven't we looked for a full-time construction official? Am I incorrect? Have I not?
There's a world of difference between talking and doing. Mr. Bazak is right. And come next year, we're gonna be doing just that. As we take a look to see on the various costs that we're going to have, then we don't just need a full-time building inspector. How about Mr. Larson? We've changed, have we ever replaced him? There
I
are
have been
positions
asking
that,
for months.
there have been positions that need to be put into effect. That's gonna be it's gonna be costly.
So you all up here feel like you need a raise.
If
Is that
you wanna-
correct?
If you wanna vote against it, or you could be like Mr. Gurchenski. Mr. Gurchenski, his raise, heck, you know what he does with his money?
Well, we don't, because he's a disabled veteran, that's why he doesn't receive his money. I've been told that you refuse your stipend because you're a disabled veteran and that you don't.
No, that's not the fact. It's personal fact, but I'm just giving back, I feel it's my obligation to serve the town.
So where do you feel like your stipend goes to?
Any of the committees that are out there that are available.
Because
Back into the general fund?
I believe it goes into the general fund and is
That's
used
fine.
for whatever.
That's fine.
And if you wanna do that also, go right ahead.
Okay, Mr. Mayor. I just like to make it on the record that up here we all feel like we need a raise, but when we've been asking for months to fill the spots that have been empty, and I have mentioned this more than once, but since it made a year in April that Mr. Warrington has passed away, I've been bringing it up. But I think it's not, I don't know why it's important for us to get a raise up here when we still have positions to be filled, and we keep getting the answer of, where are we gonna get the money from?
Well, next year, when these various positions are put in, and there's going to be taxes raised, you'll see where you stand on that. Okay?
I don't know if I can abstain from a certain section of the resolution. I don't mind about the salaries of the employees that are becoming full-time, but how do I abstain from half of the resolution?
So you don't.
Councilwoman, you either abstain from the entire resolution or you vote on the resolution. Those are your options.
Roll call.
Councilman Gizzi,
Yes.
Councilman Gerchinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
No.
Councilman Olivera,
Yes.
and Council President Seola.
Yes.
And the resolution is adopted. 329,
Resolution authorizing reappointment of the Borough South River Business Administrator. I, John Krenzel, with the advice and consent of the Borough Council, hereby
Make a motion, waive the full reading.
motion made to waive before reading by Mr. Seula, seconded by Mr. Gindi, all in favor?
Aye.
Against, the ayes have it. Pleasure on the resolution.
Move the resolution.
Resolution is moved by Mr. Seula,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Gerchensky. Discussion?
Again, I bring this up today because I do not feel that a a part-time business administrator should also be a construction code official, should also be a fire subcode, should also be OEM, and a million other hats in a part-time position. It doesn't benefit the borough for one man to have to handle everything. And I will repeat that as many times as you'd like to hear it. Because, Mr. Mayor, just saying we're gonna save bundles of money that you've said to me more than once does not solve the issue we have in this borough. You see it today, you see that people come out and they're concerned. You've had over a year to resolve this because Mr. Lawrenson passed away over a year ago in April. And my concern is we're gonna renew this contract and one man will continue to do several jobs in this borough and it doesn't benefit the residents. I'm sorry. Nobody else has anything to say regarding this?
Yeah, am I able to, Mr. Lundett, what's the plan with the, building official? Because before I vote on this, I wanna make sure I know what the future is in terms of.
I've spoken to the building official, he will be leaving one of his other part-time positions and will be increasing his time in Southborough.
Now, we will be putting it into the budget for 22, for the building official, code enforcement, construction, and eventually it's gonna go full-time
Wait, which person are we talking?
for building and construction.
Who's the person?
We have a,
Mr. Poplawski,
Yeah, we,
That's still a part-time position. We're looking for a full-time construction.
32 hours right now to start,
he can work up to 28 hours.
28. And then we're putting in the budget for a full-time person also.
But when?
22, as soon as we do the budget.
We have in the budget for a full-time person. We have more than a year of
We're trying to
money.
get it done without a major tax increase to the residents. And if you feel like maybe we should raise the taxes, how many points, then by all means, please let everybody know in the
I
borough,
feel
But
that
this
this
is what you
does
do.
not benefit the residents.
it's
What
going
we
to
are doing
eventually
is
be right
not
back the way it used to be. It just has to give us time to build it again.
It's been almost 2 years.
And the amount of money that we saved over the 2 years
Yeah, we're giving ourselves raises for
is
the
gonna
amount
be
of
very
money,
good
right?
once we get this new person in here. And we're gonna be getting code enforcement, part-timer on air. We have to slowly bring this back, and that's what's gonna be in the budget for 22. And the EDC is working with redevelopment to help all of this stuff going, that Mr. Bazak brought up, that we need to have something that people can go to that do redevelopment, and that's where we're headed for. EDC has got a lot of great ideas, and they are gonna be moving forward with a lot of new ideas.
For the next meeting, can we get something that shows the timeline
Sure.
for each position? I think
I'll work with Mr. Lindsay on it.
visually, I think that
We'll
would
get
be.
it going.
And Councilman O'Leary, I just want to direct this again. Hiring the full-time people, state law requires the business administrator to report to the mayor and council that the building department is at a deficit. We have to raise all the building fees. We are trying to keep the fees where they are. If you go from where we are now to a full-time person, we're gonna have to raise them substantially. We wanna do that to the public, we're trying to do this, so he's gonna give me more hours to take care of his position, keep that number down, so that we hopefully don't have to raise the building fees to catch up for being in the red. That's the law, we have no choice.
Mr. London, what was the deficit for this year?
I don't have those numbers, we're still waiting for the last quarter. We were a little below even.
So we're not.
That's with not paying a construction fee. So if you add $100,000 plus to that, because you have to figure in his benefits and everything.
But we have that money sitting in the account. We're a construction official, yeah,
We didn't use it.
correct.
But, and here's where I'm getting confused in all this. If I recall, 2 months ago, you said that we pulled in almost $85,000 for that position.
No, that's total.
Total, so the building department brought in about.
Plumbing, electric, building, fire,
Okay. So that included all 3 areas?
yes.
Okay.
my concern, and I'm sorry to say this, is, I know in the beginning when we had Dave brought in temporarily, I remember that worked very well. Here we are now, without consent of the mayor and council, we're gonna move on actually giving him more hours?
Well, it would be very nice to have full-time people doing all the
I'm
jobs.
not again, I want the full-time. My issue is the person that we wanna bring in as, for now, part-time. I mean, I'm hearing nothing but scuffle, although he's only here for 2 days out of the week. I'm hearing nothing but scuffle over his, his work ethics and the way he does things.
Councilman Mimi, I would be very careful. What you are discussing right now, that's a matter of personnel for executive session. We should not be getting into any of those aspects.
Well, I wanted to come before the mayor and council before we decided to give this guy more, help. That's all I have to say. We have, what are the agendas? That's all I care about.
Put it down in Rice notice and by the way, just for the public, what they're talking about is that the building department has to be self-funded. In other words, it's gotta, whatever goes out, you gotta make it up with various fees. The state, in its, of course, infinite wisdom, cut back on several fees, and sounded like a good idea. For example, roofing, was it? At one time, you had to send out an inspector to look at a roof. And you had to pay a fee for it, for a permit. They got rid of that. You know, why? What's it going to do? You just stand there and look at it and says, oh, it's okay. So they cut it out. Made sense. But that took money away from the building department. And it's not just that, that's an obvious one. There are other ones that by doing that, they hurt the system. Therefore, we're gonna have to take money and put it into, or no, actually, we don't do that. If there's a deficit, we've got to raise the fees for next year. So come early January, late January, early February, fees will go up because there's a deficit.
Are we able to comment?
Mr. Mayor, no. Mr. Mayor, if we had a full-time employee there, we wouldn't be at a deficit because things would be running a little bit more smoother. As you see, we've had concern from people that things are being delayed, things are taking longer, things aren't being brought up as quickly as possible. If we had a full-time employee, I don't think we'd be at a deficit.
And you want to just compare.
Well, and how do you know, at our last meeting, you said, oh, if we hire a full-time a full-time, construction official, it could be $140 or over $100,000. How do we know that?
You looked into it, Mr.
Yeah,
Mendez?
we interviewed people, they were all well over $100,000, and then you have to figure at least another $30,000 for benefits.
Okay, but that's
No.
them asking for a certain amount of money. But if we set a boundary, we have the money, we haven't even touched it. So
And
now you see the concerns. Every time I brought this up this year, you guys said everything was running smoothly, nothing was wrong, we were saving money, and now you see people are concerned.
when they say, no, we're not gonna work for that, where do you find a person to do the work?
Maybe we're
No,
not
we
working
interviewed.
hard enough.
Well, if you have some magic, way of doing this, by all means.
Don't we have a don't we have a building inspector that's certified?
No, we have full-time code enforcement.
Yeah, but isn't he also certified as a building inspector?
We have all the certifications except for one.
Okay, so we can technically think outside the box, and that's where I'm saying we go with this with Mr. Lundensky, you know. So we technically have someone on staff already that could be doing this, and that's already a full-time employee.
Again, I would be very careful with how we discuss this in a health meeting.
Yeah, so I'll
Because personnel
bring this
matters
up in
should be
close session.
on for closed session, you can discuss concepts and structures of departments. But once you start getting into personal employees, we should really cut it off.
Okay.
Again, Mr. Mayor, the point of me pulling this was just to raise the concern that one man should not be doing several positions in the borough. And I keep bringing it up and
I'm sure you will continue.
and I will continue as long as it
We have no other way, no other way. Anyone else? Roll call.
Councilman Kinsey,
Abstain.
Councilman Gertenski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
No.
Councilman Olivera,
No.
Council President Seola.
Yes.
Time. Then, yes, I'll break the time.
Thank you.
Resolution has been adopted. Welcome back for another year, sir.
Thank you.
appoint part-time animal control officer, number 333.
Resolution authorizing emergency appointment of a part-time animal control officer for the Borough of South River. Whereas due to the existing vacancy of an animal control officer, it is best interest of the Borough to hire a part-time animal control
Make a
officer.
motion, waive full reading.
Second.
Motion has been made to waive full reading by Mr. Seula, seconded by Mr. Gertenski. All in favor? Against? The ayes have it. Your pleasure on the resolution.
Make a motion, move the resolution.
Resolution has been moved by Mr. Seula, seconded by Mr. Hindi. Discussion?
I just had a question on this. I thought we had a shared service agreement with East Brunswick with animal control.
Yes, East Brunswick gave us 90 days notice that they were ending that as per the agreement. They can't handle it anymore. We reached out to a couple different companies, and we were very fortunate to find a South River resident who has all the qualifications and interested in doing the job. We're gonna hire her as a part-time employee. She'll be available 24/7. We have to adopt the animal control officer into the salary ordinance and create the position. That's why it has to be an emergency, because right now we don't have an animal control officer.
And we also have to figure out where we can put the animals.
We still have our agreement with Woodbridge for their shelter, and we are discussing with a couple of local veterinarians to have veterinary services by contract.
Is there a limit to the part-time? I know it says $18 an hour, I'm just curious as to.
No, there's no limit. The last 3 years, we've averaged around 40 calls a year,
Okay,
so we won't have any problem with her going over the 28 hours a week. She won't be doing that.
okay.
And that'll be $18. She doesn't get any benefits or anything. It's straight $18 an hour. We just have to negotiate overtime for evenings and weekends, and holidays.
And then, I'm sorry, what department will that fall under?
Board of Health.
Board of Health, okay.
Anyone else? Roll call.
Councilman Gizzi,
Yes.
Councilman Gertenski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
Yes,
Councilman Olivera,
Yes.
and Council President Seola.
Yes.
Resolution has been adopted. This was our new business. We are going to go to governing body comments. And then we are going to go into executive session. There will be no action taken after that. It's simply going to be a matter of litigation. It should be fairly quick. But I'm sure everybody's going to want to wish you all a happy new year and such. So we begin with Mr. Vera.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank you for calling me today, just to let me know that we were changing up our January 1st and moving things over to the January 10th. I was only aware of the appointments of our fire department when I got the agenda on Friday. I see that you have here for January 1st that you will be doing the council liaisons and the meeting schedules and all. My quick question to you is, will we be going back to normal? Will we be doing 2 meetings a month, or are we sticking with the one every 3 weeks?
We're going to do one every 3 weeks.
That seems to work for you, I guess? Okay, and then my only other thing is, I know you get to pick the council liaisons, I'm very happy with whatever you give me and everyone else. I just like to say again, I hope everybody actually does their meetings, attends them. We're getting to a time and a place where we're getting used to virtual or not virtual, in person, and we just need to start to adapting to how our surroundings are becoming. So I hope everybody meets. I hope our volunteers in the community aren't scared to come back and embrace is our virtual or not virtual, because we wanna start moving South River forward. And the input of the residents is very important. We're up here as advocates to our residents, so it's good to see and hear the feedback that they give us as well. I'd like to say that, Mr. Mayor, you put me on the Mayor's Advisory Board of Persons with Disabilities. They did not meet once at all this year. Nobody reached out. I reached out a few times, but I would just, I don't know if you are still mailing letters to your volunteers or if we're getting any input back. But hopefully next year is a better one. So happy New Year to everyone, and we hope to see more people come to our meetings. It's good to see faces. Thank you.
Councilman Gertenski.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I'd like to thank all of our public safety workers, our police, fire, and Robert Wood Johnson for taking care of us. I know the police have been a little bit taxed with a lot of the road construction that they've been going on with some of the drainage and what have you. The DPW for taking care of us. Also, I'd like to let the residents know, please check their schedule and everything like that too, because we have another holiday weekend coming up. And the collection schedules will be revised somewhat. And it was nice having Christmas where you were like Jack, you can actually attend your functions and what have you, and be together with family. Well, it was a reasonably seasonable, we didn't have to quite dig out. But with that, I thank you and I thank everyone in the town, and I hope you had a wonderful, prosperous New Year, and things will hopefully get a little bit better, aside from some of the impositions, and we just have to keep track of whatever gets imposed as far as the new outbreak that might be going around. Okay, with that, I thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Olivera.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to echo Councilwoman Mara's comments. There's a ton of openings on different committees. Make sure if you're interested in getting involved, please let the mayor know. I know the Library Board of Trustees still has one seat open. And I know there's a number of other openings that will be happening. So, the only way to make a difference is to be part of, try to instill change. So again, please get involved as much as possible. And I want to wish everyone, Mayor and Council and all our residents, Happy New Year.
Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you. I want to thank the Parks and Rec Director, Lakeisha, for a phenomenal job with the house decorating. The first place went to the house on the corner of Bernardine and Caroline, second place to the house on Grand Street, and the third place went to Jeffrey Street. Phenomenal job. The houses around South River are even, brighter than ever. Keep up the good work. To the contractors, speaking to Mr. Bezak, you got a phenomenal idea, which would be, maybe we should have a subcommittee. Their voices need to be heard. They're the ones who are actually the backbone of this town. I know I'm being part of the planning board, but I think that we should try to put something together. We all support you, so, we're gonna do whatever it takes to help you guys out. Other than that, Happy New Year, see you next year.
Mr. Sheila.
Thank you. The EDC has been meeting regularly. They would like to start a redevelopment committee and start working with some of the developers in town. And moving forward, they have some great ideas how to attract new business. They're talking about maybe having some kind of contest to show a design of some sort of what Main Street should look like. They have a lot of really good ideas. So if you like, we talk, and you're more than welcome to come to a meeting and work with them. There's a good group of people. They're all business owners, so they all know what has to be done to attract the business and all of that. So we're moving forward with different things.
Am I able to comment back to you? No?
And I just want to wish
Thank you.
everybody a Happy New Year.
Next time you see at the meeting, but Mr. Bezak.
Oh, yes, I was definitely gonna, I'll talk to them on that and I'll give them all the information. Because they're always looking for ideas, and it's a really good group of people that are really working on this, so you're more than welcome.
Thank you all for your comments there.
It's been quite a year. I'll be having more to say at the beginning of next year with the state of Borough address, which I've not given in many years, but there are gonna be a lot of things happening in South River. Some good, some bad, some that we have control over, some we don't. But one of the two things that I've ever agreed with Mayor de Blasio of New York is this is all gonna peak in the next 2 weeks or so, and then it's just going to, again, go away, just as it's done in the past. We're all going inside, so we're all getting sick, and Omicron will come through us, and then we'll get back to our basic flus and colds like we always have. So there is hope. To all those celebrating Christmas, Kwanzaa, Little Christmas, the Orthodox Christmas, to all of you, best wishes. Happy New Year, January 1st, 2022 always comes in, New Year always comes in with a hope that things will get better, and we're gonna be optimistic that things will be getting better, not only here in South River, but throughout the state and the country. So, having said all that, we will say goodnight to you. We are going into executive session, and all intents and purposes, the meeting will be coming to an end. Thank you all for coming out. Madam Clerk.
Resolution 2021-34, authorizing the entrance into executive session. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Finley, seconded by Mr. Seula. Roll call.
Councilman Giddy,
Yes.
Councilman Gerchinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mira,
Yes.
Councilman Olivera,
Yes.
and Council President Seola.
Yes.
Shall return.
Second.
Motion has been made to open by Mr. Finley, seconded by Mr. Seula. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. Is there anything else to come before this governing body? Wishing everybody a happy new year. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Appropriate. Mr. Finley has made the motion to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Olivera. We will both be coming back next year. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All against? The ayes have it. We stand adjourned since January 1st. Thank you, Sal.
Yeah.